Hey there, in YouTube land, and welcome back. I'm doing what I consider right now my collector series. Basically, I'm talking about a lot of different things, especially in the horror genre, that I think are definitely worth picking up, worth getting. I did one on the throughout the decades of horror. I did one on the on basically a starter kit for whether you're getting into horror yourself or getting a friend or family member or a loved one into kind of into the horror genre. And now I want to talk about something that's near and dear to my heart, and that's the 1980s. The 80s for me is like it's a golden age of horror. It's the same if you grew up like in the watching the Hammer in the 60s and stuff like that, then the Hammer films are going to have as much as everybody else could enjoy them. You will just get that little bit of glimmer of love for it, just a little bit more, just from being around there and it being that time when you really cut onto it. For me, the '80s were the time that I really started to catch on to the stuff. I started watching horror back in the '70s, long before I should have been watching it, but the '80s really drew my loving for it. VHS came around, and I got to see a lot of movies that I normally wouldn't have seen. So what I'm doing here right now is I'm going to give you 20 '80s horror films on Blu-ray that are must-haves. Now, the criteria for this had to be that, in my opinion, these are the definitive editions of these movies. Therefore, ones like in the background, you see like Nightmare on Elm Street and Friday the 13th and Hellraiser. Well, all of those are have been eliminated because although I do have the Hellraiser Blu-ray and I think it's a pretty good Blu-ray, I think that Arrow is going to top that, and I don't think that we're going to. I think we need a much better edition of that one. Same with I love the Nightmare on Elm Street set that I got, but you know what? They could have done so much more with it considering what they did when they first started the Nightmare on Elm Street set. Just go back to the DVD set that they did, and they put a lot of work into that. The same thing with Friday the 13th. I don't think we've seen a definitive Friday the 13th set yet. Unfortunately, I'm kind of worried that that may be what Paramount thinks is the definitive Friday the 13th set. So I'll definitely have to get it down the road. But for those reasons, I can't put any of those in the. Basically, it's like collector's editions that you must have. I think you should have the Friday 13th and Nightmare set? And oh yeah, definitely. Do I think you should get the Blue Underground Hellraiser? No, I think you should wait and get the Arrow edition once it comes out. If you really want to have Hellraiser right now, Blue Underground does have a passable Blu-ray out there. I know I got it for very cheap. But with no further ado, 3 minutes into the video, let's stop the introduction and just get on with the stuff that I think everybody should pick up. And like I said, I think these movies are movies that kind of like define what the 80s are, and they also give you a good like breadth of features and just stuff that you need to like really understand and enjoy the film. And first off, we have the Return of the Living Dead. The Return of the Living Dead, of course, was it's a classic '80s horror. It's zombie slash comedy, just really cool. It's almost like a continuation of it was kind of like if Ned Living Dead was real and it had actually happened and they kind of knew about it. So this edition here was put out by, I think it's Second Sight. Let me just make sure. Yeah, it is Second Sight. Now Second Sight did this limited edition steelbook. Why is this the edition to get? Well, there's a lot of editions of the Return of the Living Dead out there, but this is the one that you should be looking at and looking for. It's got a great Blu-ray transfer. It has a wonderful artwork, and it has the documentary More Brains on there. I've mentioned this many times before. This was actually a Halloween surprise for me one year for my better half, and still to this day it was probably one of the biggest surprises I ever got because I had no idea this was coming. That was something I wanted for a long time. From Tarman to the music, to the punk rock music, it's party time and stuff, to the amazing documentary on here that runs well over 2 hours long, with even more, with over 2 hours of bonus features for the documentary alone, let alone features that the movie itself has. The Return of the Living Dead is a classic film, a really great movie, and one that I think belongs in everyone's collection. So look out for the Second Sight edition. If you can't get the steelbook edition, see if you can get the regular edition that still has the More Brains documentary on there, because it really is worth getting. And hands down, I had no problem deciding to put that movie on the list. The next one is from Synapse, and it's we're going to see a couple from Synapse on here because Synapse does some solid releases. But the first one here is one that really reeks of 80s, and it just was the start of a new franchise. Now this one would be kind of like, I think it's the mid to late 80s. Yeah, late 80s. It was kind of the later 80s, but yet it was one that managed to become popular and will go on into the 90s as well. Its first sequel actually was in 1990 and did extremely well. It was a really well received one, and the third one not so much. But that being said, this was still a classic film, and this is a great edition of it. I know that Arrow Video has an edition out as well, so whichever one you want to buy, you're going to be set either way because they're both great editions, and it's Maniac Cop. We got Bruce Campbell, Tom Atkins, Robert Z'Dar, of course, is Maniac Cop. Just some really great stuff, some cool features on here, and you will not regret picking up this. It's, you have the right to remain silent forever. Maniac Cop, this is number 2 on the must-have 80s horror Blu-ray collection. Number 3 for me was kind of a no-brainer. I'm a huge fan of this movie. It's a horror comedy because 80s tended to like go in between. There was a lot of horror comedy and sequels and slashers around that time. But certain ones really stood out. And one of the ones that I think we can probably all agree on is Stuart Gordon's classic film, Reanimator. Jeffrey Combs was born to play the character of Dr. Herbert West. And he just does such an amazing job of it. As far as goes right now, the Image Entertainment Edition is definitely the edition to get. They have some great stuff on it. A bunch of commentaries, interviews, theatrical trailers, and music discussions with Richard Band, who did the music on this one. Just some really great stuff. So Reanimator, definitely 110%. The Image Entertainment Edition. Now, that being said, guys, if you know of a better edition which has more, where you think that's a better, if there's a better Reanimator out there, if there's a better either one of these out there, feel free to, in the comments, to let me know, because I'm going by the stuff that I have personally. I'm going to talk about a few things that I don't have afterwards as well, that I think belong in your collection. And mine. Next up is another one done by Arrow. And Arrow does some great stuff. This is one of my more recent acquisitions. And again, I have to say, it's one of the most beautiful steelbooks that I own. The Beyond. It is just gorgeous. I mean, it's a Fulci classic. This one came out, I think, it was 1980. So this really skirts the years of but it's a classic film. It's kind of very dark, but Fulci liked to see the film itself as hopeful with the ending. It depends on how you take it. But one thing that can be said, this is an extremely visually stunning film. Well directed. I love this. Love the way this film is done. It is a pretty brutal, gory film, but it definitely deserves to be in your collection. And I chose the Beyond Arrow Steelbook Edition. Whether you like steelbooks or you want to get the regular edition, that's up to you. But this is a pretty sexy beast, so I would suggest it. Carpenter. John Carpenter was going to be in my list, and he's going to be in here more than once. But one that really stood out to me is one that a lot of people that just hit 1980. So, there actually isn't a lot of Halloween movies and that in there. Of course, Halloween is not here because that was 1978. But the follow-up, The Fog, definitely is. It's kind of an old type ghost story type of film. It's like, it's got a great cast. Again, we get Tom Atkins again. Unfortunately, he sans the mustache. What were you thinking, Tom? But this is a great film. Hal Holbrook is in here. We got Jamie Lee Curtis, Adrienne Barbeau. It was at a very tumultuous time for John Carpenter. He had just broken up with Deborah Hill, and he was actually dating a star of the film at the time, Adrienne Barbeau. So it was really kind of a bit of a difficult shoot, but I think that this is a fantastic ghost story, and it's highly underrated. It's even underrated by Carpenter himself, and that's a real shame because he made a winner of a movie here, and I think if you see this thing is dripping with atmosphere. It's just such a well-done movie, and the remake of it was so badly done. They didn't capture the flavor or what the essence of the movie at all, like many remakes often do, unfortunately. But The Fog is one that you should have. It has some great features on here. We got some great commentaries. The transfer is wonderful, and if you haven't got The Fog, you should really pick it up. Next up is one that's recent for me, and I got it thanks to my good friend Presley Berger. And that one is Fright Night, the 30th anniversary edition. It came out from Twilight Time, and unfortunately, this is one that you're going to have to hunt for a bit because it's kind of out of print right now. So your best bet is to look around eBays and stuff like that, and to see if you can get one for a decent price. It's not too overpriced. Oh, did I find this? Fright Night is in my top movies of all time, horror or not. It's just balances the drama, the horror, the comedy to perfection, and the casting in this movie is perfect. Stephen Jeffries gets his start here. Really, I'd only seen Stephen Jeffries in one other movie, and I'm not sure if it was before or after this one, but there's a movie called Fraternity Vacation, and that was one of those teen comedies that I really liked. But we got Roddy McDowell, William Ragsdale in his best role, of course. Amanda Beers, who I was totally in love with at the time, and this is an amazing edition. It's got it's got documentaries, audio commentaries. We got all kinds of. We got like a panel discussion here. Even like an EPK kit, it runs about 2 hours long. It has the music video. Next up is a classic 80s slasher film that I think that my better half doesn't consider such a classic film, because she had to watch all of these with me, and I think that watching the last one soured her on the entire series, and that is Sleepaway Camp. This one has a lot of really interesting kills in it. One of the neat things about Sleepaway Camp is that, and I'm not sure if you'll notice when you watch it, but it has a pretty amateur cast. Most of the people that are in this movie
people would not notice that.
were not like actors at the time. Obviously, Felissa Rose was very young. She had not turned into the actress that she is now. And she had been, this was a very young cast that just gone up there. They were making a movie. And the murders were very inventively done in this film. The twist ending, which I don't want to give away, but everybody knows it, was fantastic. And I cannot wait to get Sleepaway Camp 2 and 3 in my collection, by the way. Those would, if those were out already, those would be definitely here on display right now in this video. But Sleepaway Camp is a classic slasher film that belongs in every 80s horror aficionado's collection. You're not complete without a little bit of Sleepaway Camp. Next up is Nightbreed, the Director's Cut Limited Edition. Now, either edition of this one is really good to get. You have the Director's Cut out on its own, or if you're like me and you went and saw the movie in the theater and you want to like the Ultimate Edition, then Nightbreed, the Director's Cut, is definitely one that is really worth getting. Again, Parsnip, thank you very much for this one here. This was a biggie for me. My son actually watched Nightbreed for the very first time this week, and was pretty blown away. He really enjoyed the movie. Hopefully, when he's over here, we'll be able to talk about it a little bit more. I would like to watch this with my better half, because I think she would actually enjoy this movie. It's very much in the dark fantasy vein, and she is really a fan of fantasy films. And I'm pretty sure that she said at one point that of all the horror movies that we watch together, this was one that she was actually interested in watching. So that's one we will watch together sometime. And I'd like to get her views on that. So maybe I'll have her be talking from over there, because Lord knows she will never come on the camera. But Nightbreed is one that you really should have. This is an amazing edition. There's great stuff in this one. If you can afford to put down the clams for this one, it's really recommended. It is a fantastic, sexy box, and that's a fantastic, sexy movie. Next up is another Scream Factory. Yeah, they're going to get a lot of Scream Factories and Arrows. There's certain companies that really put out great definitive editions, and that's the reason why they're here. Now, my 20th choice is going to be kind of controversial, because you'll understand when you get to it. But this one here, is not. Pumpkinhead was a fantastic film by Stan Winston, one of the great true creature movies. Now, at the time that this movie came out, there had been a lot of slasher movies coming out. There had been a lot of these starting to get these supernatural Freddy movies and stuff like that. But you know what we didn't have? We didn't have a real monster movie again. And Pumpkinhead is a real monster movie. Whatever you feel about the other Pumpkinhead films, Pumpkinhead, the original film, was a classic, kind of like a Cajun Gothic type of film, and it's a serious monster movie. And we didn't have any real monsters at the time. We had people in masks coming after people with knives and claws and stuff, but we never had any monsters. And Stan Winston brought the monster back. Kevin S. Tenney is a director that is known for certain works, certain ones in particular. But I think this one is probably the one that you're probably going to know him best for. and that is Night of the Demons. Night of the Demons is a really cool little film. It stars Kathy Podwell from Dallas fame. She was the last one that was married to Jerry back in the series Dallas. We also got Linnea Quigley in a role where Linnea Quigley does what Linnea Quigley does best. Just be her cute, gorgeous self. She's really cool, and she does some amazing effects in this movie. It's done just over the course of one night, and it goes so fast. I mean, this movie, you will not be bored watching this movie at all. Me and my sister Melissa, we watched this one actually, and really enjoyed it. We had a lot of fun with it. I love this movie. This has some great features. I mean, there's some amazing stuff on here, and this is one of those collector's editions from Scream Factory that you're going to be kicking yourself if you don't get it. This is one to get, guys. So when you're asking me, sometimes when I do Scream Factory videos and stuff like that, one of the ones that are must-haves, this one right here, it's a must-have. Okay, I'm going to get to the more controversial one first. And this is not my favorite in the series. This is not even my favorite in the 80s versions of this. But I think it's the definitive edition. But, sort of. You kind of have to buy two to really have it definitive. And not because you need the second one for the movie, but I'll explain in a second. Halloween 2 from Scream Factory. And I was really seriously going to put Halloween 3 on here. That was going to be my addition to put on here because I think it's even better. And do I want to change my mind? No, I do like Halloween 2. It's a good movie. It's a good hospital horror film. I like it a lot. But there's an asterisk to Halloween 2, is that this one here, this 30th anniversary edition, came out with basically zero features except for one real thing that you really needed to see, Terror in the Aisle. It's a cool clip-type documentary that played in theaters, and it showed a lot of different horror movies and some stuff that you wouldn't really consider horror, but it's a really cool movie. This is the definitive edition of this Halloween 2 to get, no doubt about it. But save your money on that. Instead of buying this one, go buy yourself the Halloween box set. It's amazing. You can see it up there. There. See that Halloween box set? Really worth getting. The 15-disc one, don't even bother with the 10-disc one. You'll lose on a lot of features, lose a lot of stuff. Go get yourself the 15-disc one. If you ever can get this one for a decent price to go with it, though, I love having this one on its own in its slip. I mean, I could have actually, went to the store and probably traded this one in for credit or whatever. But this Halloween 2 and 3 were the first two Blu-rays that Scream Factory ever put out. And a lot of people, I'm sure, when they bought that Halloween box set, they got rid of their Halloween 2 and 3. Gave it to a friend, traded it in FYE or something like that. But you know what? Remember, guys, this Scream Factory is a huge company now. And these were the originals. These were the first movies you ever did. So Halloween 2 and 3, there we go. As one, we're going to put that as one entry. Because this is my video and I can do that. But if you can get this one for fairly cheap, get this one for the documentary, Terror in the Aisles. Not a definitive or anything like that. I just wanted to mention it when I was going through the definitive editions because the Terror in the Aisles documentary is really just that good. Next up is an Arrow video release, and it's one of Arrow Video's best releases that they ever put out, and it is Texas Chainsaw Massacre 2. And again, we get into 80s horror, which is, in a lot of cases is very tongue-in-cheek. This is seriously tongue-in-cheek, and what's really cool about this one is that it's such a great edition. We got a 100-page book in here. It even goes back, gives you some of Toby Hooper's really early stuff. We get the heisters and eggshells in here, and just very cool stuff. There's a ton of features on Texas Chainsaw Massacre 2. You're getting the movie here for the first time, it was this awesome Blu-ray edition, and there was a really good edition from MGM called the Gruesome Edition that came out before that. I actually owned that one as well. But honestly, this is the definitive Texas Chainsaw Massacre 2. This is something that, if you've got a horror collection and you look back there and you don't see Texas Chainsaw Massacre 2 in your collection, you know that it has to be there. It just got to go. It is a really great movie. And remember, it's a comedy. People tend to not get it. It's a horror comedy. Next up is one that not a lot of people would actually say or list in their definitive things that you need to have here. But this is a good movie. The features are amazing, and it's very different. And you got to have one of these at least in your collection by this actor. And this is the one that I chose because I think this actor is one of the, one of those actors that really kind of represented the horror genre just really well, and that is Klaus Kinski. And the movie's Crawl Space. Crawl Space is a very trippy, unique film. Just, I think it runs like 88, 86 minutes, something like that. 80 minutes, not even that. And it runs really fast. It's a really good film. It's a great character study. You'll never be bored in this movie. Telly Balsam. And it's directed by David Schmoller, of course, who directed another fantastic film called Tourist Traps. And I'm pretty sure he did one of the Puppet Master movies at least as well. A great one. And there's, of course, like I mentioned, every time I show you this here Blu-ray, I tell you, you've got to get this and you've got to watch Please Kill Mr. Kinski. It's a really cool little short film. You will thank me for it. When I looked at stuff for the 80s, I wanted movies that really defined what the 80s were as well. So when it came to deciding on some of these releases here, there's certain ones that I knew were going to be in here. One, because the editions were so well done. One, because they were really good horror films, horror comedy films. And because they really helped define the movies that came out at that time. And they reeked of 80s in a good way. And this one here, Vamp, was a classic. Chris Makepeace was a Canadian actor that was really famous for My Bodyguard. And he did stuff like, of course, he was in the movie Meatballs, which was with Bill Murray, which was a really big movie. But Vamp was like kind of his horror film. It's a horror comedy. We get a lot of really good actors. Dee Dee Pfeiffer's in this one. Robert Russler. Robert Russler, you probably remember from what was it again? From Nightmare on Elm Street Part 2. He was the friend. And he's a friend in this one as well, and he does a good job. It's really funny. Grace Jones was somebody that I thought was incredibly attractive, actually. I thought Grace Jones she was a very unique individual, and she had a very different look about her, and it was very striking. I was always a fan of her stuff. I know not so much her music, but as modeling wise and stuff like that, I thought Grace Jones was incredible, and she does a great job as the vampire in this film here. She has this kind of otherworldly quality to her that really suits the movie Vamp. And Chris Makepeace is just a fun actor that really is likable, and it works well for this film. So if you haven't checked out the movie Vamp, you really should. And there's another thing here that you gotta see in this one here. It's called Dracula Bites the Big Apple. It was a short film that was made by the director of Vamp. Pretty much helped him get Vamp. It's a very funny film. Basically, Dracula comes to New York, and Renfield, the coffin gets lost in a cab, so Renfield has to go after that. Well, Dracula stalks a victim, but he soon finds out that stealthily stalking a victim in New York City and not quite as easy as he thought it was going to be. And it's a very funny short film. Jeffrey Combs. Jeffrey Combs' favorite movie that Jeffrey Combs did in horror was probably Reanimator. One that I want to come out, and I hope to God is one of the things that gets announced sooner or later, is a movie called Necronomicon, which is one of my favorite films. That's a 90s film, though, but it's just one that really stood out to me. But this one here, 80s classic, From Beyond, teamed up Jeffrey Combs and Barbara Crampton again, and I am a huge fan of this movie here. It stood out to me when I was a kid. It's just something that I really remembered, that I really liked. Jeffrey Combs does an amazing job in this film. Stuart Gordon directed again, of course, just so the magic is back there again. Combs plays a very different character. Combs said he was miscast in this movie. Actually, when I spoke with Jeffrey Combs a couple years back, he actually said that he felt that there were better actors for the role in From Beyond than him, and that he kind of felt the entire time that he wasn't the right choice for the role. But I really do think he did a great job with this movie. I thought it was a fantastic film. Great score on this one as well. And H.P. Lovecraft, and I'm a big Lovecraftian fan, so From Beyond, there's great features on this one. Some great stuff. When they're talking about talking to the people that did the special effects. Now one guy, I think he almost lost a finger, right? Just some great stuff on there. Definitely check it out. 80s was the time of big hair, extremely attractive girls, and bigger, and just pastel clothes and stuff like that. And Night of the Comet rings true for all of that stuff. It's just a fun film. This one here is I think it had 2 or 3. This one has 3 commentaries on it. So if you're a commentary fan, man, are you in luck with this one here. Night the Comet is kind of a fun, and again, it's a 80s horror, science fiction, fantasy, comedy. They really run the gamut with this film here. A great soundtrack on here as well. Just some fantastic actresses. Catherine Mary Stewart is amazing in this. Uh, Mary Warnoff's in this. Of course, Mary Warnoff is a famous co-actress. So if you haven't seen Night of the Comets, I really do strongly recommend it. It is a great film, and it's a great addition to your 80s collection. Next up is one that came out this year, and I spoke about this one a few times because I think this is one of the best transfers I've seen in a long time of any film, and that is Prom Night. Synapse really pretty much broke the bank on what they were doing with the transfer. The transfer of this film is incredible. It's impeccable. It's like I have like 3 or 4 different copies of Prom Night, but watching this on Blu-ray was like seeing it over again for the first time through new eyes, and I can't think of any better recommendation to give than that. Prom Night is one that really should have been one of your pickups in 2014. And if it wasn't, because there was a lot that definitely came out that year, make this one of your pickups in 2015. It strongly belongs in your collection. This is a great film. There are great documentaries on here. The making of Prom Night is fascinating, and there's some really cool stuff. It even has some scenes that are exclusive to like some TV scenes that were done. And there's some stuff here that's exclusive to the Blu-ray, because Synapse tends to do that a lot. Speaking of Synapse, we're not finished talking about them yet, because let's talk Frank Henenlotter. Frank Henenlotter made a lot of really cool movies. Ones that I want, like Basket Case, but unfortunately I haven't got yet. There's like a Basket Case trilogy. I think it's in a steelbook that came out from the UK. Hard as heck for me to find for a decent price, but one of these days I'll find it. The search will continue. But Henenlotter is one that stood out to me a lot. And, oh my god. And is completely disqualified. Because it came out in 1990. I'm one shy. No, I'm not. Halloween 3 now becomes its own separate release. There we go. See, this is what happens when it's live, when we're doing it like this. Like, I'm not going to redo all this now. It's been 27 minutes. So, no, it was going to be Frankenhooker, by the way, guys, just so you know. It was going to be this release here. Pick it up. It's a great 90s film. Doesn't belong in this selection, but, hey. We all do this, right? We all, yeah, okay. I've been wanting to get this edition for a long time. Again, it's a classic 80s film that skirted between horror and fantasy and comedy again. 80s tended to do that a lot. It didn't stick itself into one genre. It kind of moved itself around. And wanting to get a definitive edition of this, and finally I did get one that I think is at this point anyway, definitely the definitive edition, the Full Moon edition of, I don't mean the company Full Moon, I mean like an actual full moon, of An American Werewolf from London. There's a great 9-minute documentary on here as well. Some really cool stuff with Rick Baker, original making ofs around the other ones as well, and just some really, really cool stuff. If you haven't seen American Werewolf from London, it's a really funny film, really cool. It kind of like skirts between comedy and horror and does it really well. And transformation sequence with the whole Bad Moon Rising playing, just classic stuff. And number 20, because Halloween 3 again was number 19, so there we go. Halloween 3, the edition put out by Scream Factory, was incredible. That is number 19, and this is getting us to number 20. And it's Synapse. And it came out at the exact same time that Prom Night did. And it is Curtains. Curtains was one that I'd been wanting for years. Curtains is a kind of a slasher, giallo type of thing. Yeah. Well, let's put it this way. If a giallo is kind of like even though it's its own thing, it's kind of like a mystery or a slasher with a European type of feel to it, then this is Canadian giallo or Canadian slasher. It has its own unique type of feel to it. It's not much European, but people tend to not recognize the fact that Canada itself was strongly, and is still strongly tied to the UK. And we do have, you'll go to certain areas, and we do have kind of a European more sensibility to us than we do to our closer brethren, like say the United States or areas around there. We tend to be closer to we still watch Coronation Street. We love our tea. And Curtains is just one of those unique films. Curtains could never have been made if it had been an harmoniously well done set. Curtains was the brainchild of two people that were making two completely different movies, and neither one of them wanted to move on the movie that they were making. And their mesh amalgamation of film made a much better film than I think either one of them could have made separately. That's what Curtains is. It is, again, an incredible transfer, just stunning. There's a great retrospective documentary on here, some amazing stuff. And if you haven't seen this, I'll really recommend it. Go ahead, get yourself Curtains. All 20 of these here are worthy of your collection. And again, Halloween 2 and 3, get them from that set there. I mean, like, if you want to get like the single editions for the reasons that I have them, because they are the first Scream Factories, because that is an epic thing for me, then that brings this down to a top 18. And if I had to go for anything else on this list, I would tell you to get The Burning as your alternate number 19. It's a great slasher film. I mentioned it in my last video. It's just a fantastic film. Well done. Holly Hunter is in that one. I've got Jason Alexander. And Jason Alexander as the cool guy. Who would have ever expected that? And I guess number 20, if we're going to go for it, because I wanted to do this right for you guys and give you guys an actual 20, is Get Dolls. Dolls is a fantastic 80s film done by Full Moon that really belongs in everyone's collection. So here you go, guys. That's 20 with two alternates that for you for 80s Blu-ray horror collecting. These are the definitive editions that I'm showing you as far as I know. If anybody knows anything differently or think that there's an edition that's better than that, or if there's something coming out that I don't know about, like in one of my recent videos, I mentioned movies that need the Blu-ray release, and I mentioned Popcorn starring Joe Sholin, and people were quick to let me know that Synapse is actually putting in Popcorn. So that was really, which was awesome of you guys, and it made me very excited because I really do love that film. And again, when I did my last video, like my starter kit, the first time I did it, I ended it with kind of like saying, let me know what you think your starter kit would be and what you would do. But when I had to redo the video all over again, it was like 60 minutes in. I'm like, completely forgot that. So give me, do a video response. Give me your top 20. Give me a video response to the starter kit. Or just, if you don't like doing videos, just let me know down below. But either way, I would love to hear some feedback on this and tell me what you think. And I hope you've been enjoying this this collector series of videos that I've been doing. I hope to do more of these. Let me know what you think on them, and we'll see where we go from there. But as for right now, this is the top 20 definitive 80s horror that belong in your collection. Again, like I said before, there's a lot of classic ones that I couldn't put in because I don't think the definitive editions are out yet. If they were, there's a lot of different movies out there. A lot of more like My Bloody Valentine or Happy Birthday to Me and stuff like that. But we're waiting, and there's some great stuff coming out. I know that 88 Films has some stuff that I don't have in my collection yet that I would really like to have. So thanks for watching, guys. Have a great night. And for me right now, this is my last video of the night. I want to go finish actually I'm probably going to have to remake my tea because it's gotten cold. So and I don't microwave my tea. That's just nasty. So for me right now, well, actually from the giant lobster head hiding behind my Zadichi box set, he's peeking there and saying hi. My better half is addicted to her iPad game. I think it's Mahjong or something like that. And I am losing my vice. Thanks for watching, guys. And for me right now, it's time for tea. Have a great night, and let me know 80s horror movies that you want to collect. Because the 80s are such a fantastic time for horror. I'm an 80s kid. It's the best of times. It really is. Music, movies, fashion. Don't look at it like that. It had good fashion. I had those big white suits and those lapels and not lapels and those like pinks and stuff. Yeah. Yeah, I did. Don't judge me or my powder blue coat. Thank you very much and have a great night. For me right now, it's time for tea.